Please join me for a word of prayer. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Monday, March 30th, 2015. There was a story in here about trying to keep nuclear weapons out of the hands of the Iranians. There was another story in here about that German Wings catastrophe, that airline that was sabotaged. You remember that some weeks ago. 150 people died. Page 2, Paul Harvey, for those of you who are old enough. There was a New York City blast, a gas explosion that killed, at least in this edition, 2 people. A video apparently from somebody called the Islamic State Group showing the beheading of 8 more people in Syria. Oh yeah, there was this article, some of you know this, about a student athlete that was dismissed, not only from his football team, but from his university for alleged domestic violence. It turned out to be a ruse, but he can't go back. And then the obituaries here, one day, ladies and gentlemen, I counted them, 51 obituaries. 51 of them in one day. It's no wonder some people have stopped reading the newspapers. If anything, the darkness is getting deeper all around us and deep within us. And it is precisely there, out of the great darkness, that Easter comes. Of all the Gospels, it is only John who begins the Easter account, and I quote, "while it was still dark." And don't for a minute think that all John is talking about is just the time of day. He was dead. They saw him die, as dead as anybody has ever died. And with him their hopes of a better life, of a better world to live their life in. There were 3 of them, you know. Peter and Mary Magdalene and another disciple who was never named. And what were they doing? They were crying. They were in a cemetery, after all. What else do you do in a cemetery but cry? And it was out of that cemetery, out of those tears, that Jesus came. Remember the words? "Woman, why are you weeping? I know it's dark, but can't you see? I'm here. I will always be here. From now on, you don't have to fear the darkness. The darkness will never separate you from me again." It was out of the darkness that the message of Easter came to Mary. And I think you know that it is out of the darkness that the message of Easter comes to us. There was deep darkness when Nick and Susan boarded a plane for Boston. And I want to thank Susan for allowing me to share her story. Some of you know it. Susan, months before, weeks before, was diagnosed with angiosarcoma, a virulent and deadly form of cancer. Her doctors here in Atlanta and up in Boston all agreed 12 months. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 6 years ago. And Susan and her family were sitting right there at the 8:15 service, aglow with life. And I think they will tell you that the real message of Easter is not only that she is cancer-free, but that God was with her every moment of even the deepest days of darkness. Easter comes while it is still dark. 5 weeks ago, Sharon and I boarded a plane for Baltimore. Our dear friend Jim Zeleny died after a long battle with lung cancer, and we went up to support his wife Linda and their family and go to the service. And Joe had asked me to give his last words to the congregation. It was about that thick, 8 or 10 pages, and it kind of went on. And finally we got to his wife Linda. And in his memories, Joe remembered the time they met and her favorite song from back in the 80s. Some of you must be old enough to remember this song. It was a Cyndi Lauper song. Remember? Girls just want to have fun. What do you do with that in a funeral service? So I shared it with the congregation, and the service was over, and we left, and we went back to BWI to catch our plane. Needed a bite to eat, so we went, and Cheryl can tell you it's one of their favorite restaurants, I learned at the second service. There is a restaurant at BWI called the Silver Diner Restaurant, and Sharon and I went for a bite of dinner. And as we were sitting at a table, and all of the tables, there was these little tiny jute boxes. You know where this is going? With a slot for a quarter to listen to the songs. The first. By that I mean the very first song title that I saw as I was scrolling through the options. You want to guess what it was? Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Don't think for a minute that was a coincidence. Because Easter comes while it's still dark. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution is right. We live a deep and darkening world. The pain is increasing and the cemeteries are filling up. But in the middle of the pain, out of the cemeteries, God comes. Chuck, George, and Miriam, and Faith, and Sharon, and Mary Lou, and Mary, and George. Why are you weeping? I know it's dark, but can't you see? I'm here. I will always be here. Now you can never be afraid of the darkness again. It will never separate you from me anymore. He's alive with you and me. Blessed be He.